Down once a couple of years ago. Now I just walk on the street because the cracks are so bad.
Many times I fall down, but sometimes I broke my hands. Looky here.
Oh, so that's
one
not
more
so
time broke my tooth.
No, so sometimes you do fall.
Yeah.
Councilmember Cedillo says he knows the challenges of seniors with limited mobility because his own late wife became paralyzed after a surgery.
She never recovered fully, so she always had a partial paralysis. And so all of a sudden our life became about access, became about how we could get from point A to point B in a manner that was safe.
But Cedillo is determined to make these streets safe and accessible for both seniors and others in the neighborhood. He plans to bring in a road crew to repair some of the most dangerous hot spots. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The head of the LAPD's counterterrorism unit is asking for the public's help in identifying young people at risk of turning to extremism. As Gil Reyes reports, the concern is fueled by militant groups in Iraq and Syria who may be trying to recruit local young people.
We haven't seen chaos like this in the world in modern times.
LAPD Deputy Chief Michael Downing speaking with community members near UCLA about the growing risk of American Muslims drawn to violent extremism overseas.
It is fertile ground for recruitment, and that I know that people inside the United States have, as you know, have traveled there to fight. It's something we're constantly looking for, and we could use the community's help in helping us to detect that.
Downing says controversial police shootings in Ferguson, Missouri, and in Los Angeles could be used as recruiting tools to lure disenfranchised youth. That's why it's important for police to continue building relations with local communities. Muhammad Khan of King Fahad Mosque says many people from his faith don't trust officers in uniform, so we'd like to see more elected officials take part in the outreach.
The guy with the badge usually represents an extortionist from back home. I think the mayor is very focused on economics and other areas, but I'd like to see him more involved in this.
Deputy Chief Downing is concerned about the growth of militant groups like the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and the very real threat of militants with American passports returning home from training to carry out violence.
They have the funds, they have a large essential army, they have the equipment, they have the tactics and training.
But Los Angeles has Muslim Americans working with law enforcement. There's also a new outreach program in the works called the Safe Spaces Initiative. It's said to be the first intervention program for young American Muslims at risk of carrying out violent extremism. Near UCLA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The Safe Spaces Initiative is headed by the Muslim Public Affairs Council. Its goal is to create a safe space in local mosques where people can freely discuss sensitive political topics and where leaders can steer those who may be headed towards extremism back on the right path. The LAPD Forensics Crime Lab is a leader throughout the country in crime scene investigations, and now a rigorous test helps prove this crime lab is tops in its field. Anna Marcos reports.
Inside this lab, you will find a drug device that can analyze any of 200 narcotics, even through glass or plastic.
And you can see it just gives you a very clear result.
There are computer programs that match bullets or shoe prints left at a crime scene with those left at other crimes, and which identify make and manufacturer. There's a camera that captures a crime scene in 3D. It's all in a day's work for the LAPD's Forensics Crime Lab. The work here is so good and so cutting edge that the lab just passed a rigorous test to get accredited with flying colors.
It would be A+.
The crime scene evidence tested here can often be the primary or even the only evidence used in a court case, and the LAPD lab is a leader in forensics across the country.
It's very important that we be accurate and that our results be completely reliable and irrefutable. Every juror wants to believe that when the expert witness takes the stand, they can believe in everything they're telling them in order to make their decision.
Every 5 years, the lab must meet more than 800 criteria in order to get accredited. Everything from employee work habits to how machines are calibrated, like this breathalyzer.
The equipment gets checked, but it's the more than 200 employees who make the difference between accuracy and mistakes. They get tested rigorously.
The saying that a chain is no stronger than the weakest link applies. A laboratory will not be accredited if every analyst in the laboratory is not qualified, competent, and doing the work in accordance with their procedures.
The lab recently helped nail down evidence that kept a man behind bars in what police are calling a serial murder case in the Valley. Firearms, bullets, DNA, shoe prints, narcotics. Anything a criminal leaves behind at a crime scene is fair game for lab workers, whose meticulous efforts often help catch the bad guy. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Even though the full accreditation happens only every 5 years, the lab must also undergo surveillance visits once a year. The giant rubber ducky at the Port of LA has been the talk of the town. As Rasha Goel tells us, the attraction that's been a big draw for visitors has also been good for business.
It's definitely been a hot spot for pictures. If you were down at the Port of LA in the past month, you couldn't help but catch a glimpse of the big yellow rubber duck. It was a temporary art installation created by Dutch artist Florentine Hoffman and was part of the Port of LA's 5-day Tall Ships Festival. Due to an overwhelming response, the duck stay was extended.
Over the 5 days of the Tall Ship Festival, the duck and the tall ships, mostly the duck, brought a total of 277,000 people down to the LA waterfront.
I had to come down here because I'm a fan of ducks. I have ducks in my bathroom. I have ducks all over.
Over the last few weeks, people saw not only one, but 2 ducks, as a baby duck joined in on the fun.
So what's the big fascination? Well, for spectators, it's the world's largest rubber duck, and it's 62 feet tall. And for local businesses, it's helped increase sales here at the Port of Los Angeles.
The tall ships were fine, and but the duck was a big draw.
It's brought more people in my shop.
Officials say they are still reviewing the economic analysis, but are estimating the benefit to be in the millions. Attractions such as this one are a small part of the big plan to help make the LA waterfront a destination for tourists.
Fishing was a big industry down here. Canneries, shipbuilding, all that's gone away. So we realize that on the community side, if we can build the LA waterfront and make it a tourist destination, people will come and spend their dollars.
The big rubber duck may have already said its farewell, but it's left a lasting impact at the Port of Los Angeles.
That old Sesame Street song, you know, rubber ducky, you're the one, you know, so that's been going in my head for a long time now.
Bring it back every year. Leave it here. I don't care.
In San Pedro, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
While the duck days of summer may be over, the 10-foot baby duck has found a new home and will be staying at the port. A city leader wants LA to create a homeless czar position, more trees in one harbor community, and a new mural at a local park. These stories and more in City Beat.
Councilman Jose Huizar, whose district includes Skid Row, is asking the city to create a homeless czar position. Currently, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, a joint city-county agency, is largely responsible for homeless services and coordination for the city. But given the size of Los Angeles and the scale of the problem, Huizar's motion calls for the city to establish a full-time position to manage homelessness initiatives across the city. Huizar also currently announced a joint city-county effort that not only cleans the streets of Skid Row every other month, but also provides social services to the homeless. Councilmember Jose Huizar recently honored Kate Del Castillo, a successful Mexican artist, human rights advocate, and LA resident. In addition to her entertainment work, Del Castillo was named ambassador of the Mexican Commission on Human Rights to Combat Human Trafficking in 2009 and launched the Blue Heart campaign to raise awareness and fight against human trafficking in Latin America. Del Castillo has 5 films set for release this year, including The 33, co-starring Antonio Banderas. Councilman Joe Buscaino joined community members to celebrate the planting of 136 trees in San Pedro along Pacific Avenue and 9th, 13th, and 22nd Streets. This latest project continues the tree planting initiative in Buscaino's district that started in Wilmington and Harbor City, where 110 trees were planted. The next stop will be Watts, where more trees will be planted to improve the 15th Council District's tree canopy. The multi-agency effort included the LADWP and the city's Bureau of Sanitation. A new mural at Fox and Laurel Park in San Fernando was recently unveiled. The infusion of art at the green space in Councilman Felipe Fuentes' district came at the urging of the community. The 100-foot mural was designed in collaboration with local residents and is representative of Pacoima, its past, present, and future. Artist Christy Sandoval was selected to render the final design due to her extensive experience as a muralist and her involvement in the San Fernando Valley. The mural was funded by a community development block grant received by the Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust.
Art, it's a tie that binds. Two groups of disabled artists separated by an ocean share their struggles and triumphs through their passion for art. The exhibit is now on display at the Chinese American Museum.
A traditional Chinese watercolor of blossoms, a still life of sunflowers, dark tears streaming down the face of a man. These are the works by more than 40 artists in their own right, but who also share the understanding of what it's like to live with a disability.
The Chinese American Museum is extremely happy to be able to present this breakthrough exhibit for everyone. It's definitely a wonderful event to happen, not only to the Chinese American Museum, but to the city of Los Angeles.
Trans-Pacific Ties, Bridging Hong Kong and Los Angeles Through Art, is the name of the new exhibit on display at the Chinese American Museum at the El Pueblo Historical Monument. The exhibit, the museum's first international collaboration, brings together the works of artists from Hong Kong and Los Angeles. The museum's international partner for this exhibit is the oldest and largest charitable organization in Hong Kong.
I am honored to be able to bring artists with disabilities from the Tunghua Group of Hospitals here to Los Angeles to be able to share their artistic talents with everyone.
The exhibit not only exemplifies the artists' shared passion for art, its mission is to encourage an ongoing dialogue about the shared histories and challenges that unite the community of artists, no matter their origin. 30 pieces of artwork featured are from Hong Kong and 20 from Southern California.
Visitors to Los Angeles will be able to see the great work that we're doing here and in our reaching out in friendship to our brothers and sisters across the Pacific.
The Southern California-based Chinese Parents Association for the Disabled was the other partner in the exhibit. The show runs through December 14th. In this week's list of things to do, a Lobster Fest, a tour of Union Station, and eat, drink, art.
The Los Angeles Municipal Art Gallery's famed fundraiser, sponsored by Los Angeles Magazine, will take place on Saturday, September 13th from 7 to 11 p.m., with a VIP reception from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Barnsdall Art Park at 4800 Hollywood Boulevard. The event, called Eat, Drink, Art, a kaleidoscope of the senses, will be catered by celebrity chef Chris Morningstar. There will be live musical performances, and KCRW's DJ Dan Wilcox will also be spinning tunes. In addition to live painting, performance artists, giant puppets, and more, the evening will also feature a silent auction of the works of more than 45 emerging and renowned artists. For more information and to buy tickets, go to barnstall.org/eatdrinkart. The annual Port of Los Angeles Lobster Festival is upon us. This year's 3-day event takes place Friday to Sunday, September 12th, 13th, and 14th. The Lobster Festival features fresh discount Maine lobster meals flown in fresh daily and cooked on the spot. Lobster lovers will enjoy a scenic outdoor park along LA's historic waterfront and shops at Portugal in San Pedro. There's not only lobsters on the menu, but more than a dozen bands are also on the festival's entertainment menu, as well as dancing, street performers, tall ships, and more. Portugal Village is located at the intersection of 6th Street and Harbor Drive in San Pedro. Hours vary each day. Go to lobsterfest.com for details. Metro is offering a special tour of Union Station on the second Sunday of each month as part of its celebration of Union Station's 75th anniversary. The next tour takes place on September 14th from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Led by trained Metro art docents, the tours will cover historic Union Station art, architecture, and spaces not generally open to the public. Tours are free. Reservations are not required. Union Station is located at 800 North Alameda Street. Meet at the information booth inside the Alameda Street entrance. Go to metro.net for details. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do.
The Salvadoran community in Los Angeles recently celebrated their roots and heritage with a parade through the streets of Hollywood. Rasha Goel has more.
Patriotic flags, people in authentic dresses, and Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell as the Grand Marshal were all part of the 14th annual Salvadoran Parade held near the intersection of Van Ness and Santa Monica Boulevards in East Hollywood.
It's a tradition to have the parade in this thoroughfare, and this is a corridor that has lots of Salvadorian residents and businesses, and it's a gathering spot for the Salvadorian community.
Happy Salvadorian Independence Day!
The parade is also a celebration of the Central American country's Independence Day, which falls in September.
So far, we have been being like a country when we don't have a war, and we're trying to grow as you know, as a family, and little by little we have been doing that.
The Salvadoran community is the second largest Hispanic group in Los Angeles. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
What's shaking? We're not prepared for an earthquake. I love the rain. We're not prepared for a flood.
Sure, in the movies, this is all pretend, but in real life, you gotta be prepared for any type of an emergency. You can't predict, but you can prepare.
Yeah.
How'd you know? The ball called.
Be prepared at LAFD.org.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an Iyengar yoga teacher here in Los Angeles, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35, Our City, Our Channel. Namaste.
3rd District. Mr. Boots Guyana, is that correct? Big Joe's here all the way from San Pedro. All right, San Pedro Freeway. We need 7 more members to make a quorum. It is 10 o'clock. Staffs, will you call the respective council members? Asking them to report. Mr. Cedillas, well. Them to get members. Bonnet, Mr. Buscaino, always, Mr. Weezar, Mr. O'Farrell, thank you. Price is here from the great 9th District. Mr. Clerk, does that bring us to quorum?
Yes, sir.
Kenny's good. Throw it up there on the big 3-5. Good morning. This is Friday, the 12th day of September, 2014. I hope everyone had a very reflective September 11th yesterday with the many civic activities throughout Los Angeles and the county. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield, Bonabusca, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Corin, Labonte, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson, 10 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Very good. That's first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Huizar moves, Mr. O'Farrell seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Parks moves, and Mr. Blumenfeld seconds.
Mr. President, before getting into today's agenda, there is a recommendation from the Department of Building and Safety and from member to continue items 1B and 1D to September 19. Further, there are requests from members to continue items 5 and 6 to September 17.
So ordered. Next item.
Mr. President, item 1 is an item notice for public hearing. We do have cards.
Thank you. I'll take those cards right now. Arnold Sachs of Redondo Beach, California. John Walsh of Hollywood, California. Mr. Herman, Los Angeles, California. Followed by Patricia Mendoza.
Hell of a great agenda. Thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. Again, I hold this item, this building and safety stuff, only based on the personnel part for the code violations, the inspections for the code violations, and how you use the manpower for the inspectors to do this code violation. By any chance, anybody read the LA Times today? The op-ed, Mike Fuhrer, justice takes to the streets in the neighborhood district. You're going to start a new program with neighborhood prosecutors to address the quality of life crimes that occur in local neighborhoods.
Mr. City Attorney has ruled a ruling. Mr. City Attorney.
He does not appear to be on topic on these
Mr.
liens.
Sachs, you're an educated man. Be on topic.
Sir, you have, as a matter of fact, you have on your agenda today the approval of positions. I am talking about the use of manpower for the inspections, for the reprogram, for this, whatever this program is. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? So that's part of the topic. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm trying to present it in a logical manner so that maybe some of the public can get it. And while I'm discussing my point of view here, my time is running, which is totally unfair. That being said, if you have problems with foreclosed blighted property, which has yet to be addressed by the city agencies, and it was addressed by the city council, but no city agency. Mr. Fuhrer is starting a local neighborhood prosecutorial program. Contact your local police senior lead agent, officer, and ask him to come out. It's a quality of life issue. So is all these items on this agenda regarding item number 1. They're quality of life issues. It says so right here in the editorial.
Mr. Walsh.
Always smiling, resident of Los Angeles, John Walsh, since October 1966. HollywoodHighlands.org. Go to it. You'll find out things about what I can't say right now. And J Walsh Confidential, or tweeting at the very moment at Hollywood Dems. I had a hard time getting here. You had another water main break. I was out in Encino.
Mr. President, he is not talking
Hollywood
about the liens.
Now, concerning the West National Boulevard lien of $5,531.90, is that particular enough? You will see someone coming up after me who will be protesting one of these liens. Another one for $6,555. Whenever someone comes up and protests a lien, you see what happens. It's taken off the agenda for 2 weeks. Somebody from the city council district, an aide, comes over, a deal is made, and the amount of money owed always is reduced. That's why we ask people, many of these liens are unjust. Some people just pay them. Do not pay these liens. Come here, protest. And how do I know that that the protests work? They come here, they say the lien is dirty. They don't come back 2 weeks later to say you didn't lower my lien. They don't come back because they made a deal with the city. The city is willing to make a deal on any of these liens if you show up. If you want more information on any of these topics, HollywoodHighlands.org, jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com, or at Hollywood Dems. Take back your 3 seconds.
Before the next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there's a request from member to continue item 1A to October 28th. That would be 1A to October 28th.
So ordered. Now back to the public speaker, Mr. Herman.
Fellow Californians.
Speak to the microphone, please.
Fellow Californians, Batman has returned on special request to deal with the issues of these predatory liens and these violations that continue to become an issue of a war on your civilians. The civilians whose liens are doing more harm than they are doing any good. Don't we all deserve a home without a lien? I'm asking you, as a consul from Batman, you children listening, all of you on TV paying attention to this, all you thousands to millions of people listening in, should the city continue without due process for these illegal predatory liens? Should they violate your rights to a home? I'm not going to get into the very detail of the issue. All of you will know that the liens that we've discussed can be prevented, and we have the ability to stop them, as Mr. Krikorian has pointed out, that we are the capital of liens now because I, Batman, investigated the lien process of this city. And it is violent. It's very violent. It's disruptive. And it
Mr. Speaker, speak to the council.
I am speaking to the public.
Speak to the council.
I am speaking to the public about the issues of the liens. For example, CD5, CD8, CD1, CD7, and I can go on with these liens, but I will not. There's a woman coming up here on public comment, Ms. Mendoza. What are you doing to correct her lien? How many deferred liens are you going to put to the side and never deal with the issue? Thank you.
The next speaker will be Patricia Mendoza. Sergeant, would you have the other speaker clear the area? He's created a disruption. And would you warn the other speaker to not create a disruption? Ms. Mendoza.
Good morning. My name is Patricia Mendoza, and I'm here regarding a property. Can I have your attention? Thank you, sir.
You come on. Reset the clock. Reset the clock. And start talking.
This is a property, sir, that I bought in 2000. I am a tenant, and I am a landlord, and I am a victim of fraud that my brother stole this property. That's why today I would like to call this gentleman's attention regarding from your financial aid. In 2010, I went through the process of having an inspector going to the property. He threatened me. He harassed me. He was in the influence of drugs. I went to the office of Wilshire Normandy and I reported him. I signed every document that my case was going to be closed and there wasn't going to be a bill or lien to be put in my property. I've been there for 14 years and born and raised in that same community. If I need to pay some channel or someone where I can sit and do a lie detector saying that I am telling the truth. If I would have got a bill of 2010, I would have paid that property of that bill $500 or $550. Today, I am asking everyone to understand my situation, to continue this matter, because I have requested for an investigation of fraud and corruption. Today, I choose not to be a victim of this office. I've been doing slumlord building since 1980s. I always go there every time I try to help someone in the community regarding their being evicted. And I will prove that this department is lying, and some people, some employees that work for city politicians. So today I ask everyone to try to understand my situation, because I want to tell also the city attorney, I'm between two walls. You have the mayor, you have building and safety, you have the city councils that run all these bylaws and all these rules that I respect. But it's a conflict of interest. Sometimes I feel it's like a conspiracy. I'm not going to allow, I've been a victim already of this property. I'm not going to allow for the city to put a lien. Within 5 years, I don't pay the lien and it's earning interest somewhere in court. The city will become the owner of this property, and it is wrong, negligence, and wrongdoing.
Thank you for your comment. Representative of Building and Safety, your recommendation.
Morning, Council. My name is Charles Kalibala. I represent the Department of Building and Safety on this item. The Speaker is not the property owner, so she doesn't have a standing at this hearing. The property is owned by her brother, and we're in contact with him to get this resolved. But I suggest that this lien gets confirmed or be continued for 1 week, either of the two.
What are you recommending? Mr. Cedillo, 1 week continuance? 1 week continuance. That's it. Then you come back. Thank you very much. Without objection, 1 week.
Mr. President, the date would be September 19.
September 19th. Thank you. Next item.
Mr. President, that brings us to items 2 through 4. They're items for which public hearings have been held.
2 through 4, public hearings have been held. Members, any inquiries on 2 through 4? Seeing none, let's open the roll. 2 through 4. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11 ayes, so ordered. Next item.
Mr. President, it would appear a bit too early for today's special meeting. You have left before you at this time presentations or public comment for items not on today's agenda.
And at 7, we've already done?
That is the special to which I'm referring.
That is the special. We've got to do that at 10:29. Well, we have a very special presentation by the councilman of the 1st District, Mr. Cedillo. So we welcome Mr. Gilbert Cedillo of the 1st District. Sergeants, will you assist in any way possible? Thank you. Mr. Cedillo, thank you. And
Despierta Los Angeles. Good morning, Los Angeles. Good morning, Mr. President. What a great way to start the weekend as we move towards Mexican Independence Day this Tuesday. This you just heard from the great, many times Grammy nominated, many times Grammy winners, actually the most Grammy nominated mariachi group of Cindy Shay, Mariachi Divas de Cindy Shay, who have won numerous awards since 1999. Let's hear it for these young women. Members, this Monday will be what's known as El Grito, and El Grito is the clarion call for Mexican independence. It is celebrated here in Los Angeles as it is through every major city of this country that has large populations of Mexican Americans and Latinos. Mexico celebrates its 204 years of independence, which began in 1810, and 104 years since the Mexican Revolution of 1910. The movement began towards Mexico's independence on September 16th in the village of Dolores in the state of Guanajuato, Mexico, when Father Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla gave El Grito, the call for liberty, which initiated Mexico's successful war of independence from the Spanish colonial government. As we all know, our city of Los Angeles, el pueblo de Reina de Los Angeles, began on September 4th, 1781 as a Spanish colony, and then later became part of the Mexican state. We are here to celebrate, as the city does, with the consulate and the Latino community, El Grito on September 15th, 2014. Here on the side on Spring Street, we'll have a reception that begins at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I'm sorry, with an official El Grito ceremony at 8:30. The star will be our special guest, Grammy-nominated Christian Castro, who will headline our show. And Christian is one of the best-selling Latin artists. He's a rock star. He is very, very famous. Crossover. I don't know who he's the equivalent of. Who would he be? I'm trying to think what the American equivalent of who you are. You're such a crossover star. But Christian is one of the most famous recorders, performers in Mexico and all of Latin America with Latin pop, boleros, including he does some heavy metal. So Christian will be there. He's just released his most recent album, En Primera Fila Día Dos. And then finally, we are very distinguished to have the very distinguished Consul General Carlos M. Sada with us. Carlos Sada is a diplomat of the world. He has served in great cities of this country, New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles. He's from Oaxaca. He is trained in his skill of diplomacy at The Hague, at the University of Newcastle in Great Britain, and in Mexico at the University of Iberoamericana. He is a consummate diplomat, and we are very honored and privileged to have him here. What I enjoy about Carlos Sada is everywhere he goes, he seems to lead the way. He's the indicator of what city, a great city of this state, of this country, will have a driver's license. And so when he came to Los Angeles, I welcomed him with open arms. And who knew within months later that Governor Jerry Brown was here with us to sign the bill for the driver's license bill. So he's a man of change and a man of liberty and a man of diplomacy. And it's a great privilege to have him here and to work with him. Carlos Sada, please welcome us and introduce us to the
Thank you.
Great.
Muy buenos días. I'm delighted to be here again, but especially for this occasion in which we are starting the celebrations or continuing the celebrations of the 204th anniversary of the independence of Mexico. The way it is celebrated in this great city of Los Angeles, it is unique. There is a great enthusiasm, there is a great recognition, there is a great value that is given to the contributions of the Mexican community here. And I want to praise all of you, this city council, that make it possible. So thank you on behalf of the Mexican government, on behalf of the Mexican community. We have been independent for 204 years. It hasn't been very easy for us. We have had a lot of problematic times after the independence of Mexico that took 11 years, from 1810 to 1821. We started gaining our role and our identity as Mexicans. Then we had a big revolution back in 1910 that lasted also more than 10, 12 years. So this is what Mexico has passed through. But we have great friends and we have great allies. And the Mexico of today has been built not only by the Mexican community that lives in Mexico, by the Mexican community that lives here in LA, by the Mexican-American community, by all the friends of Mexico. So I really praise very much this effort and this recognition of this great nation that together with Los Angeles has been forging continuously what Mexico is about and what our identity is nowadays. As we celebrate, we continue working and building up our nation. We just had a very important visit from Mexico. Some 3 months ago, we had the visit of Mayor Garcetti to Mexico. A month and a half ago, we had the visit of Governor Brown to Mexico. And less than a couple of weeks ago, we had the visit of President of Mexico, President Enrique Peña Nieto. But it had a lot of symbolism, because it is the first time ever that the Mexican President Peña Nieto came to the United States in an official visit. And where did he come first? He came especially to the city of Los Angeles. So it is something that he decided to come. He decided to have this conversation, this encounter with the Mexican-American community and the friends of Mexico. And it was unique. The reception, the welcoming attitude of the people of LA, it was unique and fantastic. From here, he went to Sacramento, also to have meetings with the Congress of Sacramento, but more important so, there are a lot of agreements that were signed between Mexico and Los Angeles, between Mexico and California. And again, California is playing a leading role in the relationship with Mexico, a state that represents the 8th largest economy in the world, with a country, Mexico, that represents the 13th largest economy in the world. We are working together. And this is what represents the relationship with Los Angeles. That's why we are so proud, and I'm so lucky, as Mr. Cedillo said. I want to think that I have this talisman, that I came to Los Angeles, and all of a sudden, of course, there are so many things occurring, and I think it is a great coincidence, and that the relationship that we have with all the council members, with all the politicians, with all congressmen of this city and this state, it is fantastic, it is unique. So on behalf of the Consulate of Mexico, on behalf of the government of Mexico, I really want to thank you, because we are about to start this unique celebration that is going to be again here in the very same City Hall, and that we hope that all of you, all the Mexican community, all the Mexican-American community, all the friends of Mexico joins us. And we have a star. We have a great star, that it is Mr. Cristian Castro. In Mexico, everybody knows him. In the United States, everybody knows him. I'm sure that these ladies know who's our ambassador. He's our permanent ambassador. And if you want to really see him acting, you gotta be here Monday from 6 to 10. We're going to have a great show organized, of course, by Mr. Gil Cedillo. So I want to thank him, because he's really putting together, along with all of you, this very unique program. So we are ready, and we are kind of having some honey with lime every day, so our throat is well in tune for having this shout, Viva Mexico. Thank you so much. Viva.
No sé.
Lo va a decir cansando.
With that, Mr. President, I thank you. I welcome the entire council and the city of Los Angeles to join us this Monday as we engage. Oh, yes. Okay. This is for Sonora Santanera, Nuevo Sangre. Okay. You want to do the others, and then we'll do Christiana after. This one is for Mariachi Divas. This is our official. Okay. Thank you. The next one, is that? Yes. Okay. This one is muy especial, Cristian. You get. Yes. Bravo. Bravo. And finally, on the 204th anniversary of Mexican independence, the City Council acknowledges and gives praise to our Council General.
Thank you.
Bravo. Bravo. Thank you. Bravo.
Thank you. Great.
There you go. We want to welcome the entire council and the City of Los Angeles to join us this Monday evening, 6 to 10. Here on the Spring Street City Hall steps, you'll see Christian Castro, Mariachi Divas, all the talent that's abundant here in Los Angeles, a city that cannot deny its Mexican roots, its heritage, its presence, and its future. And so we welcome everyone here for El Grito on Monday, 6 to 10, City Hall steps, Spring Street. Bienvenido a todos.
Mr. Cedillo, great job. Let's get a group shot, everybody, right there. Put all those plaques up. Look right here at the camera. Good job. Sherry's got that shot. Mr. Cedillo, as always, good job. Everyone's welcome on Monday. Congratulations. Sergeants, would you please assist? Let's have the Mariachi Divas a big hand again. Great job, great artist. Good. Mr. President, Mr. Wesson, for the very special presentation.
We have an iPad. I'd like to report that I found and turned in an iPad. Mr. President and members, thank you very much for affording me a few minutes today. Now, we don't have an extremely large crowd in the council chambers today. So I'm calling upon all of the staff in this building or in our City Hall complex to take a gander at a young fella here named Robin, named after Robin Williams. Robin is 2 months old. He's a snazzy dresser, so I definitely can relate to Robin. Again, he's 2 months old. Arlene's got all his shots, so he's ready to go today. He is a Chihuahua mix. He will not get much bigger than this. He is looking for a home. We in City Hall have a 100% dog adoption rate, and I'd like to keep that alive. When I really enjoy when I bring dogs before this council, and it's a sweet thing and try to find a home, but we have so many animals that we do our best to try to save them all. But I'm urging you, anyone that can hear my voice, anyone that can see me on television, to adopt Robin, because the moment you do that, then you save his life. And that's what I'm all about, and that's what a lot of members, probably all the members around this horseshoe are about, are saving the lives of the many animals that we have in our shelters. Now, I'm joined by Arlene. Where are you? Come on. Cut to Arlene. Give her, here, I'm going to put him by your face. Okay, now you're going to do my stomach or are you going to show Arlene? Thank you. Anyway, she has been an unbelievable volunteer, and she and I have been doing this together for a long time, and she always picks the most beautiful dogs. So I'm asking for somebody that wants to adopt, somebody that's looking for a little son to adopt Robin and take Robin home with them today. Arlene, okay, I hear a word in the back. Arlene is going to be here for a while, as all of the folk that want to adopt Robin are vetted in the back. So, Mr. President, members, thank you for your time.
Thank you
Public
very much.
And all of the staff, City Hall, let us please keep our 100% adoption rate alive and well. Okay, now, for those of you that are watching on television, thank you, Arlene, and you're interested in Robin, please do not hesitate to call 888-452-7381. Now, as you can see, Robin is reading the phone number to make sure that he wants a home today, and he wants to make sure I read the correct number. Again, 888-452-7381. Members, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, very much. And Arlene, thank you and all the staff at Animal Services. Arlene, one of our great employees who rode on our Rose Parade float a few years ago, one of the great events. Mr. Clerk, I think the time has come to go into the special.
Yes, sir. If we are recessing the regular and going into the special, I'm going to call the roll. Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, England, Fuentes, Suizar, Carrasco, Corona, Lamont, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Weston, 12 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. What's before us?
Mr. President, we have one item, item number 7, and it's an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
All right, let's open the roll on consideration. Close the roll.
Exactly.
Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. We have 2 cards. You want the cards first or after?
That would be at your pleasure, sir.
All right, 2 cards. We invite Mr. Walsh and Mr. Sachs for public comment. Please proceed to the speaker's podium. Thank you.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or go to jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com and watch us on Twitter at Hollywood Dems. This concerns the LAFD, and I want to see something positive, because when I come up here, I say a lot of positive things, and I would say the LAFD by far is the least corrupt agency at city, by far, because if they were corrupt, it would take them a long time to show up and people would die. When's the last time you saw a headline, and we want these fire assistant chief and the fire captain, senior storekeeper, we want these positions approved and confirmed? Go and check on Google. They don't have a damn thing on the fire department. If you have a heart attack, your chance at a restaurant, your chances of surviving that with a paramedic showing up are greater in the city of Los Angeles than any other city in California and perhaps the United States. There is one major problem with the fire department, and that is it is a very, very sexist agency. Go and check out the percentage of female firefighters in New York, Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, even in right-wing heaven, Houston, Dallas. The percentages are significantly higher. Now, a lot of women up here, they don't give a damn about women, politicians, unless they're related to them. But we want to say that there is no effort being made, no sincere effort to get rid of sexism at LAFD. Hollywood Highland.
Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. What's curious about this, you're going to delete, part 2 of this, hold vacant the following positions in anticipation of their deletion for next fiscal year, which is a few months away. 1 fire battalion chief and 1 director of fleet sales. So what happens to the money? You know, we've heard so much about their short equipment. They need iPad. They need to have new equipment for helping them to navigate the city streets so they can make their calls quicker. Or we've heard discussions about how they're not manning the 2 different types of units. Mr. Laban's, one has got 3 men on a truck, and one has got 2 men on a truck, I believe, 4, whatever. But I do remember there was a time in the council chambers you said they're categorized as 2 different types of fire units that they send out. So what happens to the money? Because that's all money here for a battalion chief and a director of fleet sales, it doesn't say. And the differential between the positions they're going to keep through June 2015, what happens for the next fiscal year, which starts July 2015. That's the fiscal year 15-16. So how is the budget worked out? And again, we're talking about budgeted positions here. Why can't you get budgeted positions to go out and do inspections? The mayor's talking about hiring part-time parking enforcement personnel so they don't have to pay benefits. Why do you need to have discussions about this when you leave $1,000 per day on the table and don't do a damn thing about it?
All right, that completes public comment on this issue. Mr. Clerk, there's no speakers in the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Next item.
Mr. President, I believe there's a recommendation to send that matter forthwith.
Absolutely, Alan. Absolutely, Mr. Clerk. Good. Forthwith.
Very good, sir. Would you like to adjourn the special meeting and return to the regular?
Yes.
Very good. Mr. President, that takes council back to general public comment for items not on council's agenda.
For general public comment, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org and chair of Anybody But Weezer for City Council. Vote for Gloria or vote for Nadine Diaz. Again, speaking positively, I had the privilege and pleasure to go to Highland Park a couple of weeks ago to the excellent jazz festival that was put on by Mr. Cedillo, and it was standing room only. Now, you had another water main break again in a white neighborhood. In fact, there are a number of water main breaks that happen in minority neighborhoods which don't get into the newspaper. We're talking right now about Highland Park. The Jazz Festival was good. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 blocks from where I am standing now, in the so-called Fashion District, which is actually Skid Row, the DEA came in 2 days ago and found $65 million in plain view, just sitting there. Now, people are saying this is an attack on Mexico. No, it's not an attack on Mexico. It's an attack on a Sinaloa drug cartel. It was their money. Why didn't they hide it? Because everybody in America knows, including the DEA, you don't have to hide anything here. You can just put it out in public. Now, the reason the DEA did not tell the LAPD about the drug raid is because the DEA knew that if the LAPD found out they were going to raid the Fashion District, the Sinaloa cartel would have found out, because it's leaking like a sieve there. And I'm telling you, no city in America can you just stack up $65 million and be sure the cops won't arrest you. Not Detroit, not New York, not Chicago, not Denver, not San Francisco.
All right. Next card, Jenny Chavez. Jenny Chavez. Jenny Chavez, please. You got a card? Ms. Chavez.
Good morning. I have a very special announcement to make to everyone today. If I could have everyone's attention. Today is a very special day. Today is Councilman Joe Buscaino's birthday. So,
very good, very good.
So today is the big 4-0. So I'm going to ask the Councilman LaBonge if you can lead the happy birthday song.
121 seconds left for you on this, Joe. But to all of us, and for those of you watching Channel 35, every day's a blessing, and it's a blessing that we have Joe Buscaino. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joey B., as Mr. Wesson likes to call you. Happy birthday, Joe Buscaino, and thank you very much. Thank you. Patricia Mendoza.
Excuse me, can I have your full attention, Mr. LaBonge, and everyone else as a taxpayer? I wanted to thank you today, Mr. LaBonge, excuse me, for being civil and having respect for me today. Because the last time I wasn't happy the way you treated me, really, really bad. So I would appreciate if you can be more civil, and I do thank you for being nice to me and letting me speak. Also, I would like to tell the city councils for being all male. Not even one of you got up the last time that I spoke to let you and call your attention, Mr. LaBonge, to give me that right and not violate my rights to let me speak. We're here because we come with hope and with faith, hoping that someone will see the truth and say, let's try to work forward with the stakeholders, the tax people like me. When I spoke earlier, Mr. Tom LaBonge, I wanted to cry because I'm overwhelmed. I'm dealing with big corporate, big men, sharks, city politicians, inspectors. You know what's my problem, Mr. Tom LaBonge? I don't have the money to hire one of the best attorneys, and I could have been done with this matter. But I wanted to tell you, with all due respect, I want to ask, and I want the city attorney to please note, I want my case to be referred to the FBI or the CIA or to the general attorney. I will prove that I am telling the truth, that I never got a bill, a lien, a bill requesting $500, $550 regarding my property as of 2010. I always go to that office. I always deal with those inspectors. I always sign in. So now they want to put a lien of $3,000. They know people don't have that money. I'm not going to get frustrated. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to get up and walk, and I'm going to prove that I am right and that I am telling the truth. What I'm not going to allow is for some inspectors to not investigate that these inspectors are in the influence of drugs.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Robert Lucas.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to share something with you, and it might get a little passionate here. I spent yesterday at the 9/11 at the Fire Department Training Center and absorbed some of that. And a lot of that passion is what's fueling me with what I'm doing with this nonprofit. Mr. Huszar has scheduled a town hall type forum later this month, September 29th. And I've spent the last 3 weeks out in the community, in the upper part of society, the beautiful parts of the city, the middle area, and then the poverty level. When we try and make some of these changes and suggestions, we must realize all of the parts that this city plays in the problem. In some of the sports bars and some of the nightclubs, the people are very, very cynical about what's going on in some of the homeless. Yet and still, they'll sit and make fun of the people, jump in their cars and go down and utilize exactly what's going on. The prostitution, the drugs, then scurry back uptown laughing at the people that they're helping influence to kill themselves. This is a concern. It's not just the homeless people that are the problem. Everybody plays a role in this city in this problem. That's where the answer is. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do everything that I can for the rest of my life to try and minimize some of these tragedies. Some of the energy that was shared yesterday up in Elysian Park is very concerning. There's a lot of hurt so much time later. I feel it on a daily basis when I think of Sandy Hook and all of those parents and the kids that won't get to utilize what we have here today. Some of the answers lie in the generations before us. If you've got the time and you look far enough back, you'll gain some understanding.
Arnold Sachs, Mr. Arnold Sachs.
Oh, would you put a sock in it? Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Arnold Sachs. And regarding that raid, who says LA isn't business friendly? The cartels seem to find that it's always a place to do business. But I really, I wanted to make a conversation about some of the presentations, like the one you had last week for Mr. Miller when he retired, and the discussion and the platitudes that were given for all his years of service, his 25 years, where he worked under 5 mayors, I remember somebody saying, and how he helped guide the city, navigate the city through all the troubling times, through the recession that we just went through. And when you get that kind of information, when you have a long-term player in government like that, it's those little bits of information that you should focus on. Because one of the problems was all the time that he was the CLA, and he knew all this information and he helped to navigate the city and the city council at the time, 2007, 2008, still managed to negotiate with the city unions a 5-step raise that amounted to about 30%. That's not bad. And the reasoning behind it was nobody in the city council knew that the recession would be so bad. But the CLA must have known that because he had all the history. So how could he know that and the city council not? And a little aside, when I was leaving the building, I go out the west entrance, and I run into Mr. Miller, and we started talking about him smoking, because I always get on his case about that. And we were talking about that, and finished the conversation, and I mentioned to him, Councilman Parks mentioned he had 3 minutes to talk. And just one sec, and I said, and he said to me, well, he was wrong. So the police officer, myself, and Mr. Miller all laughed like that would be a surprise.
Thank you very much there, Arnold. Have a good weekend. Mr. Herman.
Now, my point is very clear. You allowed the Caucasian gentleman here to go over the 2-minute time. You displaced my item 7 card. Fine. I'm not upset, Dion. But I did file a cure and correct. I will go to my congressperson's office today and file my complaint to the Department of Justice for your retaliatory action against myself, the constituent that Batman is here to serve and represent today, on his behalf and on behalf of the public, for your unreasonableness to do more harm than you are doing good to satisfy this quorum for your special interests. Great presentation, young ladies, from the divas of mariachis. Hula-hoo! But again, I'm pointing out issues that this local government has been insulting, lack of intelligence, because you would rather do more harm to the great city of Los Angeles, all those that represent by you, this horseshoe, to take the foolish action of displacing our card. So when we go into our November elections, Batman encourages all of you how to vote. And we know that Mr. Weezer is giving up his seat to who? Ms. Gloria. And then again, we have the other situation that I personally am asking all of you Angelenos to consider the voting of our removal of the Democrat, Mr. Brown, and replace Neil Kashkari for governor. I need your help. Support Neil Kashkari.
That completes public comment at this time. That completes public comment. Mr. Clerk.
Kashkari will just take his ass home.
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered.
The desk is clear.
Desk is clear. Any announcement, members? We have a special friendly amendment to the Buscaino greeting. Mr. Blumenfeld's birthday is tomorrow, so happy birthday. September is a good month. Congratulations on that, Bob. You got the day off. No, we're going to give it to him.
Also, our voting clerk's birthday is tomorrow as well.
Right, okay.
Happy birthday. It's all about being a Virgo around here. Beauty about being a Virgo is we love people.
Yes.
Mr. Weezar's birthday was Tuesday, right? Wednesday. A lot of Virgos around here. Colleagues, just want to remind everyone.
We got to be called on, Joe. Joe
I
Buscaino.
thought you did. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Labarge.
Thank Veronica. She reminded me. Okay. Thank Veronica again, Joe.
The Port of Los Angeles.
Veronica, our clerk. Thank her again.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Just a reminder to all those watching, Port of Los Angeles Lobster Fest is this weekend. And last year, Mr. O'Farrell, Mr. Bonin joined my wife and I, and it was an incredible celebration. We invite everyone this weekend. Kicks off tonight and through the weekend. Tonight from 5 to 11 p.m., tomorrow 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And for $20, world-famous lobster meal. You'll be entertained, a lot of music, rides for kids, pirates, and come be a part of the 4-time Guinness World Record holder, the Port of Los Angeles Lobster Fest. So please join us. It's going to be a great weekend at the port in San Pedro, Wilmington area.
Well, Lobster Fest is tomorrow, or is it?
Yes, this
tomorrow?
weekend starts tonight.
Tonight, very good. Mr. Bonin.
As a proud New England native, I just want to point out that those lobsters come from Maine.
Very good. Very good. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to wish Bob Blumenfield and Joe Buscaino happy birthdays. And thank you for the
And how
delicious
about Veronica? She counts your vote.
I'm eating it right now.
Okay.
Oh, it's your. I'm so sorry. Happy birthday, Monica. So I also want to mention that everyone knows it's a heat wave, maybe the most significant heat wave we're feeling all year long. So it's going to be 100 degrees in the basin, well over 100 degrees in the valley. There are cooling centers countywide. So I would urge everyone to log on to emergency.lacity.org to get a list of those cooling centers and take extra precautions all weekend long with your family and with your pets. Make sure and do not leave anyone unattended in a locked car in the heat. And let's prepare for this heat wave. Thank you.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you very much. In behalf of Errol Siegel, one of our business people in the 8th District who owns Active Recycling at 2000 West Slauson Avenue, he is providing what he calls a Clean Up Los Angeles campaign from Friday, September 26th through Thursday, October 2nd. All of you have been given a white envelope with both Spanish and English. Anyone in the city of LA that brings in a vehicle of disposable property, he will take it for free. They will allow one free load for that 7-day period. Green materials, concrete blocks, car, truck tires. The only thing they will not accept is liquids, hazardous waste, and food waste. But it is an opportunity to amplify some of the discussion we've had in the last several weeks about illegal dumping, alleys, and cleanup. He took this upon himself and would like to make it available citywide. At 9 a.m. on the 26th, he will be holding a news conference to highlight it, and it will go for that 7 consecutive days. So anyone wanting to take advantage of it or promote it in your district, he certainly is willing to accept that trash and keep it out of your alleys and byways. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parks, very much on that. Just to remind everybody how special our public safety first responders were yesterday on a variety of civic events, from the historic Station 27 in Hollywood, where Don Force spoke eloquently, and Captain Scott, as members of our USAR team that did go back 13 years ago to New York and responded to the needs. And also the events out at Station 88, community-driven, as well as at Frank Hodgkins in midday. Tomorrow is going to be a very special day, big 5K run in Koreatown in Mr. Wesson's district, but they got a step in mind for just a foot, so I'm going to announce it. Mr. Wesson, I would like to invite everybody there to Wilshire and Western. Following that, at Ernie's Walks out on the Los Angeles River, due to the great work of the Bureau of Sanitation and the great job they've done in the Sepulveda Basin with the Tillman plant, all the fresh water that comes down now will be complemented by the wonderful Ernie's Walk, named after a gentleman named Ernie who did the care and tender for that land. So we thank the Bureau of Sanitation and everybody's there. Late in the day at the Campo de Cahuenga, Mr. Krikorian and I will be flying by the Campo de Cahuenga for the 164th anniversary of California. So a lot going on, plus Boston College is hosting the Trojans, and University of Texas at Jerry Jones' house having a game against UCLA. Great night for high school football. Loyola in their oldest school in the city in Mr. Wesson's district, 150, first district, Mr. Cedillo's district, but Mr. Wesson is in charge of Venice Boulevard. I don't know if you know that, all the way through. They're having a night game, first time in 150 years out there on Venice Boulevard. So with that being said, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just wanted to announce that on Sunday morning at 9 a.m., the CBS Studio Center in Studio City will once again be hosting the annual Women's Health Walk and Run event, which is sponsored by the Ovarian Cancer Coalition of Greater Los Angeles. It's a very important annual event that raises a substantial amount of money for ovarian cancer and other issues. That's this Sunday morning, 9 a.m. at the CBS Studio Center.
Thank you very much, Mr. Corey. Do a great job there at the CBS studios out there in your district. And they do a great job at inviting the community. They're a community-driven organization. So, members, we have completed our announcements. Do we have any adjourning motions? We have one from Mr. Koretz. Please rise for adjourning motions. Sergeants, please assist.
Thank you, Mr. President. After the occasion of 9/11, I thought it appropriate to adjourn in memory of Stephen Sotloff. You remember last month we adjourned in memory of a courageous journalist, James Foley, following his barbaric execution at the hands of terrorists. At that time, we included in our adjourning comments our prayers for the safety of his fellow journalist, Stephen Joel Sotloff, who was still being held hostage by that same group at the time. Unfortunately, we should now adjourn in Stephen Sotloff's memory because he was also barbarically executed by the same group, and he was only 31. The grandson of Holocaust survivors, he grew up in Florida. He went to high school in New Hampshire, attended college in Florida, and studied further in Israel. His career in journalism began during the Arab Spring, and he would work for the Jerusalem Post, Time Magazine, Christian Science Monitor, the National Interest, Media Line, World Affairs, and Foreign Policy. He would visit and write from such hotspots as Syria and Benghazi in Libya. He was abducted on August 4th, 2013, after crossing the Syrian border from Turkey. Millions of decent people around the world were shocked and horrified a year later by the fact and manner of his execution, and his death represents a tremendous loss to his family, friends, profession, and nation, and for humanity as a whole. After his death, Philippe Friedson, Sotloff's editor at the Media Line, called him one of the most courageous, talented, and insightful journalists I have ever known. I ask that we adjourn in his memory, and that on behalf of the city, we offer the condolences of all the people of Los Angeles to his parents, Arthur and Shirley Sotloff, and his family, and all those who loved and treasured him.
Thank you for your leadership on that, Mr. Koretz. Members, I ask we adjourn in memory of Paul Tegnari. Paul Tegnari was only 49 years old. He grew up in the Silver Lake District, went to John Marshall High. The Tegnari brothers were great. We're sad MDA, muscular dystrophy, captured him early. We wish his family the best, passing of Paul Tegnari. Also in Toluca Lake, Edmund Knoll, who was much loved doctor in the area. He loved to surf, a USC guy, USC clinical associate professor, was loved. His family and son-in-law know that he is missed. He was called tragically too early. And finally, Mr. O'Farrell, we have Reverend Rene Ledesma, the husband of our very much loved Mary Cooper Ledesma. He died up at the United Methodist Church in Hollywood, a very special family that's involved in the community, not just with their faith, but with their love and community and engagement. He was a wonderful man who was involved in life and education, and also worked nationally and internationally for the General Board of Global Ministries for the United Methodist Church. We ask that we remember all those who went before us. This concludes our meeting today. Continue to serve the city well, and have a good weekend, and thank everyone for their engagement today in this meeting. Good afternoon.